Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Flight Lieutenant Rebecca Pentreath. We warmly welcome the family of Private Francis Gordon Rains, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to welcome the members of the National Australia Day Council and the accompanying delegation, which includes Australian of the Year category winners, past and present, and nominees from each state and territory for this year's national awards. Since its inception in 1960, our nation has celebrated the achievements and contributions of eminent Australians through the Australian of the Year awards by recognising the contributions of leading citizens who are role models for us all. They inspire us through their achievements and challenge us to make our own contribution to creating a better Australia. We warmly welcome the international delegation from the Australian War College. We also welcome Deputy Commissioner Tim Fitzgerald from Australian Border Force. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please sit if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Francis Gordon Rains. Francis Rains was born on the 10th of August 1915 in Croydon, North Queensland, the son of Alexander and Blanche Rains. By the time of the Second World War, he was living at Rosella Plains Station near Mount Surprise in North Queensland, where he worked as a stockman. Francis Rains enlisted for service in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force at Cairns on the 8th of July 1942. Marched out to begin training. In late November and early December, he was treated in hospital for an undocumented illness. Further training continued in the new year, and in July he was grade tested and qualified as a mechanic before he joined a new training battalion. On the 1st of September, Rains was promoted to Lance Corporal. In February 1944, he reverted to the rank of private, and the following month he joined the 2nd 8th Battalion. After taking part in the campaign against the Italians in eastern Libya, and then the evacuation from Greece, the 2nd 8th had been deployed to defend Darwin, and then joined the rest of the 6th Division training in northern Queensland. Now joined by Private Rains, the battalion landed at Aitape in New Guinea on the 12th of November 1944 to undertake its only campaign against the Japanese. After moving into camp, the men began minor patrolling operations and reconnaissance. The 19th Brigade, of which the battalion was part, was tasked with securing the area around the Driniarmor, Danmap and Danamul rivers. Rains and his comrades took part in clearing the area around the Danmap, relieving the 2nd 4th Battalion around Ida Kybal, which was secured as a patrol base, before pushing the Australian line east, capturing several features between there and Marlin, and fighting numerous small-scale patrol actions. Having established a defensive position around Anamo, further patrols were sent out before the battalion moved to the mouth of the Danmap. On the 24th of January 1945, a patrol from D Company encountered an enemy force in a prepared position at around 10:30 a.m. Held up by rifle and light machine gun fire, a runner from the patrol reported back, and more men moved forward to help cover their withdrawal and assist in the recovery of casualties. The original patrol withdrew, but the force covering it were cut off by the enemy. Another group set out at about 6 p.m. to cover a general withdrawal, and the men were able to withdraw an hour and a half later. However, 2 Australians had been killed and 5 were wounded, one of whom later died from his wounds. Among the dead was Private Francis Gordon Rains, who was 29 years old. His remains were lost as a result of continued fighting, and today he is remembered at the Lay Memorial, which commemorates 324 officers and men of the Royal Australian Army, the Australian Merchant Navy, the Royal Australian Air Force, and New Guinea local forces who lost their lives in operations in the area and who have no known grave. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among some 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Francis Gordon Rains, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.